Welcome. This is my next video with In the Middle. Mine and my cousin Angela Parker's business. We have an app that we're trying to get coded. We're just $2,500 from getting it coded. And we also have an app. The app, I'll put the address in my YouTube channel information. But it's basically autism and mental health.net. You can contribute, use it however you want to. Right now, you can go in there, use it, start talking. I know there's not many people on there. Hopefully, if you start talking, and then a whole bunch of other people will start coming in. We have 2 chat rooms up right now. One is for just the parents, and one is just for teenagers. And it's the teenagers chat room is monitored 24/7. Today, I'm going to talk about myths that you might have if you're new to the autistic community. I would do one for mental health when I find some myths, which I'm looking right now. But these myths, if you're new to the community, will open your eyes a little bit more. I'm wearing my t-shirt. It's called In the Middle. I know it's backwards, but it says In the Middle, handprint, and then it has our web address. And on the back is a tree with puzzles and hearts and a little saying from Albert Einstein. And I'll have that link in my YouTube channel link too, if you want to buy it. It's $25, and all the proceeds will go to getting the app coded. I'm not going to spend one dime on me. So hopefully, please buy. But today, like I said, I'm going to talk about myths. If you don't agree, then hit me up in the comments and say, hey, that's not true. And I'll read it, and I'll say, okay. I'll talk about it and say, okay, this person said this about myth number 2 or myth number 3, and why it's true and why it's not true. But since I have an old form, as you can say, of autism called PDD-NOS, or pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. It's on the far end of the autism spectrum. They took it, it was in the middle, right in the middle, but then they just took it away and said everything is autism. But since I was, what I say, I'm grandfathered in, and I always say I have PDD-NOS, always. Because I have, to me, I have both autism and Asperger's all in one. My brain can't, what my brain does is it takes everything in and can't say this is important and this is not important. It takes everything in as important. So, let's get into the myths. Okay, I'm going to start off with a truth. The truth is, one child with autism diagnosis can look very different from another child with autism, which is the truth. No autism is the same. No PDD-NOS is the same. No Asperger's is the same. So, no Rett disorder is the same. Just like no 2 people are the same. No identical twins are the same. I mean, they can probably think alike and finish each other's sentences and have the same blood and maybe the same fingerprints, but in all, they're all 2 different persons. They like 2 different things. They like to dress differently. sometimes. They may like to draw the same, but they may like two different things. So that is the one truth. Now, myth number one. Remember, if I say anything that's not true, since I'm not an expert, then hit me up in the comment and say that's not true, and I'll get back on the video and say, okay, this person said this is not true, and I'll explain why they say it's not true. But to me, since I have ASD, then I'll talk about how it's not true in my eyes, the way I see it. Okay, myth number one. Kids with autism aren't social. That is so not true. Kids with ASD can be social, or they can't be, or they don't, or they don't want to be social. Like like I just said, two ASD children are not the same. So if you see your kids not trying to be social, don't say, and you haven't gotten your kids diagnosed, then don't say right up. I mean, if you got your kids diagnosed and you think, okay, that's his autism, then that's a myth. Because I grew up wanting to be social. It was the kids that didn't want to be social with me because I was different from them. I spoke different from them. I spoke so fast, you couldn't understand me. And I still do, in a way. But they just didn't want to be social with me. But there are some kids that have ASD that say, I'm better off not being social. I kind of function better being non-social. I think better. I can concentrate better with not being social, not having a lot of people around me. So that is a myth that they that they aren't social. Okay. Number two. This is a big one now. Number two. There is a cure for autism. That is so not true. If you see on Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, any of the social media saying, take this, and your kids, it will cure autism. They are a crack, what we used to call it back in the Western days, back in the old days, a crack. A little duck. Quack, 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 quack. Because there is no cure for autism. And hopefully one day, in the way off in the future, like in 3,000, 4,000, or maybe sooner, they'll, may find a cure for autism. But until then, there is no cure for autism. You can make it lessen. You can help your child with his ASD, but there is no cure, unfortunately. So just take that in mind. So if you just got your child diagnosed and people are trying to throw medicine at you saying, take this and you'll cure your kid's autism, don't believe it. There's no cure. Number three. Kids with autism flap their hands. Kids with autism flap their hands. Not all kids with autism or ASD flap their hands. I was one of the ones that did. When I ate chocolate, I used to flap my hands and say I was flying. My arms were wings and I was trying to fly. And that was only happened when I ate chocolate. But not all kids with ASD flap their hands. Like again, like I keep saying, not all to ASD is the same. So remember, not all kids with ASD flap their hands. Number 4, he or she will grow out of it. Like it says in number 2, there is a cure for autism. There is no growing out of it. You can help your kids learn to live with their ASD by saying, okay, let's make a checklist of what triggers your meltdowns, what, what makes you feel uncomfortable, and just check off those boxes, and just help your kids learn to live with their ASD. But there's no growing out of it, unfortunately. I'm 43. Yeah, I'm 43. I have to remind myself, when you get in your 40s and 30s, the years just gets to you, and you're slowly starting to forget how old you are, unfortunately, and that's not part of being ASD, unfortunately. I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't. But I'm 43 years old, and I got diagnosed with PDD-NOS when I was in my late 20s. But I grew up knowing I had a learning disability, because you have to understand, back in the 70s and 80s and part of the 90s, they were not diagnosing children with autism like they are now. But it's taken me a long time to learn how to figure out my triggers of my ASD. I have to learn, okay, I need to stay away from this person and not get into it. I have to bite my tongue when I'm around this person. Or I have to learn the fact that I can't remember a whole bunch of numbers and sentences and stuff like that. And if you tell me an address, and even though I was born and raised here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and you tell me an address, say like Line Avenue or Erie Drive, I still have to constantly tell you, please give me what building is situated there, because street names is just street names to me. I have to know structures. You say, okay, the Broken Egg is on this street. Okay, I know where the Broken Egg is, and because I associate buildings with street names. That's how I remember street names. So I know how to learn how to deal with my ASD. So, and I've learned to live with the fact that there's no growing out of it. So, if someone says, "Oh, take this; it's a cure for autism," or this will help your kid grow, or do this therapy, and it'll help your kid grow out of his autism or his ASD. That's so not true. That is so not true. Okay, number 5. All kids with autism or ASD have meltdowns. Again, all kids with autism or ASD have meltdowns. That's so not true. Some kids might be high functioning, and some might be low functioning, or right in the middle, or being verbal or nonverbal. And not all kids, because of that, have meltdowns. They have learned or being taught how to control it. or they just don't have it. They just don't have. So if your child just got diagnosed with ASD, and you're afraid that, okay, he's going to have a meltdown because he got diagnosed, he's going to start having meltdowns. Not true. Not true. Not all kids with ASD have meltdowns. I did, of course. I had my meltdowns, and I still do in a way. If you push my button just the right amount, then I will have a meltdown and I will blow up. But if you keep me on even keel and let me do my day-to-day things, then I won't have a meltdown. And I never had that many meltdowns, really and truly, growing up when I was just taught that I had a learning disability. I mean, I had my few share of meltdowns, but luckily I didn't. Okay, but I did have my share. I have to stress that. Number 6. Every kid with autism or ASD is a savant. Okay, now let me explain what a savant is if you're new to the autistic community. Okay, think of Rayman. If you've seen the movie Rayman, he's a savant. They don't say he's an autistic savant. They just say he's a savant because he can remember everything and say it right back. And I'll give you another example, a great example. There was this black guy. You can get him in a helicopter, take him over let him see the landscape of, say, New York, and just let him take a mental picture of the surrounding of New York, just for a split second, not long at all. And he will take him straight back down, give him a landscape paper. He can draw everything to the teeniest, tiniest thing that you think you didn't see, even if you took a picture with it, with a video camera. He sees the littlest bittiest things, and he doesn't miss a beat, and he can draw it. And after he draws it, it's perfect. I mean, everything is perfect. He's known as an autistic savant. Well, for me, I have ASD. Like I said, I have PDD and OS. And my subject is the entertainment business. I can spew out facts about actors and actresses and movies and TV shows. Not so much music per se, but if it's on TV, if it's in the movie, or if you're an actor or an actress, I keep up with it. And I can spew out information. Back in college, I used to be known as Miss Blockbuster because I collected DVDs when DVDs were in. And people at Louisiana College knew if they wanted to watch a movie, come to me. They didn't have to go to Blockbuster because I had all the movies. I still have all the movies. I still have over 300 DVD, here at my parents' house. And so, but I'm not an autistic savant, unfortunately. Even though I can spew out information and grasp that. To be really an autistic savant, you have to know a lot about different subjects, not just about the entertainment business. And, but that's what an autistic savant is. So if your kid got diagnosed with ASD, don't go saying, oh, my kid is a savant. Because he remembers everything about a movie or everything about cars. Unfortunately, unfortunately, he's not a savant. He has to be tested to be really, truly tested to see if he is a savant. But, Albert Einstein was you can say Albert Einstein was a savant, was an autistic savant, even though they didn't know what autism was back then when he was alive. But they are slowly beginning to think Albert Einstein was an autistic savant because he was brilliant in science, and he could think. Leonardo da Vinci, they think he was an autistic savant because he was brilliant in a lot of different subjects too, and his artwork is brilliant. He was brilliant. They're still learning about subjects that he was asking questions about that was not even thought of, like airplanes and birds' feathers and the human body, and getting before they had X-rays. He was able to really look at the human body and say, okay, this goes here, that goes here, this is this is that, without using an X-ray, without knowing what body part that was. But they were thinking he might be an autistic savant. Okay. Number 7. Kids with autism or ASD do not speak again. Kids with autism or ASD do not speak. That's so not true. Some kids, they'll grow up not speaking. When I was a kid, I spoke my first word when I was 3, which was hot. And I didn't speak again until I think my parents told me I was 5. And I spoke so fast that I had to be put in speech therapy all through elementary. I didn't get through with speech therapy until I graduated from Southern Hills Elementary in the 5th grade. But I know a friend. She has 3 kids with autism who are autistic. 3 kids. And she's now putting on her Facebook page one kid that never really spoke. Really, he was nonverbal, but now with her taking him to speech therapy, taking him to applied behavior analysis, ABAs, and him taking him and working with him in the background by quizzing him with his ABCs. He's now speaking. She just put on Facebook how she quizzed him one day. She said A. He said B. She said C. He said D. And then he just said the alphabet to her. And then he told his mom that when he was going to the bathroom, something to the effect, I can't remember the whole phrase, the exact phrase, but he basically told her, I'll be right back. And her mouth just dropped because he never said that. He never really spoke, and he's now speaking. So if you have a child that starts out being nonverbal, don't be afraid that that's going to be their life. But if you really, really work with them, then they might just find their voice. It might take them years or months or weeks, but they might just find their voice. Or they might be the type that just grows up and be non-verbal, and they have to grow up using sign language or a techno equipment that comes on an app that speaks for them. But like I said, don't be afraid if your kid get diagnosed with ASD and they start out being nonverbal, that's how life is going to be. Because my friend is a true testament to that. That if you really truly work with them and put them in with the right ABAs and the right speech therapist, they will end up finding their voice. It might take time. So don't be afraid. And the last one, kids with autism don't make eye contact Ugh. That's a mouthful. Kids with autism or ASD don't make eye contact. And that's the last one, number 8. That is so not true. Some kids with autism or ASD can make eye contact with you. It might feel icky and weird, but they can. With me, I grew up not making eye contact with anybody, really and truly. I never thought anything of it. But slowly, my parents worked with me, teachers worked with me. I slowly got to the point, people coming up to me and asking me, "Why aren't you making eye contact with me?" I never thought of it until I got diagnosed with PDD-NOS, and my doctor said that's how you take everything in, and how you are comprehending everything. You trying to comprehend on what they're saying, so you can say something back. And that's true. So I can make eye contact, but I still have to look away and think. So if you're talking to me and I look away, don't think that I'm not interested or I'm bored or, that's not true. I'm trying to comprehend in what you're saying. And then when I'm talking, I might not look at you in the eye like I'm doing now. I might look away while I'm talking to you so I can think about what I want to say. But yeah, not all kids with autism or ASD make eye contact. That is a myth. Okay, that is 8 myths that I hope if you're new to the autistic community, I went over. And if you can think of any more myths that you want me to go over, feel free in the comments to say, okay, talk about this myth, or talk about this myth. And I will. And I will tell you, in my view, why that is a myth, or why that is true. If you think something is a myth, and I say, no, that's true, I'll tell you, in my viewpoint, why it's true and why it's a myth. Because even though I'm not an expert, after I got diagnosed with PDD-NOS, I started to do a lot. It took me a while to finally accept I had PDD-NOS, but I started to do research about all the different spectrums of autism and what some of the characteristics of it. And I'm still learning. And I'm learning what is, about mine. And I've been around the autistic community now for a while now, that I can say, okay, that is a myth, and that is true. And I can tell you why, and I can explain why a little bit better. But I will, if you tell me a myth you want me to talk about, I will talk about it. I will do the research. And I will go back to you and say, okay, this person said this is a myth. I can say, okay, that is a myth. And I can say why it is a myth, because I did my research. So again, I'll have the t-shirts, this t-shirt link in the YouTube channel. I'll have the link to my website so you can go and use it. I'm having someone right now make me a prototype of my app so that I can hopefully get it coded pretty quickly, because I can give it to my app developer and say, hey, at the next fundraiser that you do for me in July, use this prototype. And I probably can get a lot of funding. But I do have my website up, so you can use it. You can contribute. I will have my email address where you can send me emails so that if you have any questions, you can email me. Again, I will read the comments, and if you have any myths you want me to talk about, please send them to me, and I will talk about them. Okay? Thanks. Bye.